Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for SmartClick session. We are so glad you're here. My name is Victoria and I will be your host this afternoon. Before we jump in, just a few notes. This session is being recorded, so the full recording will land in your inbox within 24 hours. So if someone missed it, you can share it with a colleague or anyone who wanted to be here. We have 40 minutes of content followed by 10 minutes of live questions and answers. So please drop your questions in the chat at any point and we will get to as many as we can. We also want to hear from you, so feel free to react and engage throughout the webinar. Just a quick word before we start on why we are here. If you follow SmartClick, you probably know that we have been talking about traffic drops for the past few months. We even created our 4-in-1 traffic drop prevention checklist to help you stay ahead of ranking volatility. Today, we are going further. What happens after the drop has already hit? That is exactly what Branko and Davor today are going to walk you through. And this is the playbook we use with our own B2B SaaS clients, real frameworks and not theory. So let me introduce them. Branko Ilishev, the CEO of SmartClick, and Davor Karafiloski, the SEO Director of SmartClick. Hello and welcome.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Branko Ilishev, Chief Operating Officer at SmartClick. My role is to build AI-driven systems and ensure our clients achieving outstanding results and have great experience working with our team. I've been working in SEO for over 15 years with a particular focus on technical SEO and programmatic SEO. Today, I'm excited to share insights on traffic drops, their most common causes, and the steps you need to take in order to recover from them.
Thank you, Branko. Davor?
Hi, everyone. I'm Davor. I'm the SEO Director at SmartClick. So my background is mainly strategy and building strategies for SaaS clients. So I've been working for over 10 years. So I'm very excited to talk about this topic.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So we will kick off right away with the first topic. The first topic for today is anatomy of a traffic drop. Davor, I will hand it straight to you.
Excellent. So yeah, as I said, I'm very excited about the topic. Firstly, when we're discussing organic traffic drop, mainly organic traffic drop that happens for a variety of reasons, before we do anything, the advice we give is that you first need to diagnose what the cause has been behind the traffic drop. So that's one of the first things I want to start off with, because I've seen a lot of times how people and companies react suddenly, abruptly to the traffic drop. I know it hurts. I know that it can feel like you're drowning, but it's not the best thing to do right away to have like an immediate reaction. So before we dive into it, I just want to kind of separate what happens when traffic drops suddenly and when it drops gradually. So reaction at the same time, for example, when the traffic drops is not advised, but it is advised when you lose the majority of the traffic. So let's say you lose 70-80% of the traffic. Of course, you're not going to wait a lot. Of course, you're going to want to be fast about it. But luckily, when those kind of traffic drops and declines happen, it's mainly because it's a reversible decision, because they tend to happen because of a technical issue, algorithm update. So you need to be very, very kind of open about the idea that you want to be fast, but also want to be very analytical about the situation. So if you see that your traffic drop has been sudden, abrupt, 70-80%, yes, you should react right away. And the first things you need to look at is mainly there are a lot of technical things that happen in the background that can lead to it. So Branko, maybe you want to share a few words about some of the examples where traffic drop happens, and it's because something in the background has happened from a technical point of view.
Yes, so I will add some traffic drop causes from technical SEO aspect. So they are due to rebranding, for example, change of a brand name, change of whole branding kit. Another cause can be domain migration. If a company changes the domain from one to another, very often now is a cause of a traffic drop from platform migration. For example, lately companies which were using WordPress and Webflow are now migrating to Lovable. Another interesting traffic drop cause, which is very common, is website structure and website changes. For example, marketing teams, marketing people love to move sections around, like, hey, let's move this section a bit higher. Let's move, let's say, this box a bit lower. So these kind of changes, a very common change, also a very common traffic drop cause can be also the common pushing a common like pushing of changes that developers make on a staging environment, and they push the change to the production, so they forgot to uncheck the option that prevents them from being indexed. Also technical related issues, server stability, crawling budget, indexation bloat, rendering issues, and overall site health, like slow website, bad user experience, and too many orphan pages.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a lot. I just want to add to that these are, for example, the situations where you need to be fast. So also I would like to add that in the fast response traffic drop venue, cannibalization also plays a huge role. And this especially goes if you have a large team that makes a lot of changes. For example, if you have a lot of people working on the website, you may unknowingly create another page within the website that can create internal competition with the one that already ranks. So that has been on multiple counts, we've seen that with our clients as well. So that's why it's very important from an SEO perspective to have everyone involved who is making a change on the website to understand that even unknowingly, whether developers or whether someone from the product team can push a change that can have an immediate impact on the SEO. But luckily, as I mentioned, these are the situations where you can react fast and dissolve the cannibalization, for example, and the traffic will probably recover to 100% that it was before. Now we want to move forward to another type of traffic drop where you need to have a more strategic response. That is, for example, if you see that you have a steady traffic drop, for example, 10-15% gradually month over month, in that situation, you need to understand what happened, because that is not you losing traffic because of a mistake, it's because of your losing authority. What that means is because you haven't adapted to what maybe the latest Google algorithm update has suggested, or you a lot of the search volumes for the keywords you already ranked are now losing popularity. So you need to be aware of it. For example, if you see that you lose traffic, but the rankings stay the same, that means that the search volume has shifted. You haven't done anything wrong in that scenario. So you don't need to actually do anything else, rather than just see where the popularity has shifted toward. Maybe people are searching on the AI models for that kind of query, or maybe social media has been more popular for that kind of query as well. So you need to be adaptable to that kind of situation. The same goes for a search intent change. The same goes for when new competitors arrive. So yeah, there are a lot of situations where you need to be more strategic.
Yeah, thank you, Davor. And I must admit that at the beginning of my career from marketing, I also had the same issue with the duplicate pages on the site. So I totally understand you, and I agree with you, and probably a lot of marketers will agree with me as well. So thank you so much. This was a great explanation. And now, before we begin with the right process, I would like to ask Branko to tell me, like, can you maybe set the scene on why speed matters so much here from a business perspective? So maybe we can talk more about the diagnostic framework.
Yes. So once you detect a traffic drop, it's very important to start, for example, with start analyzing what can cause the drop. So basically, when we see a traffic drop, or a client comes to us and says, hey, I've lost traffic, we immediately start doing the analysis. Some of the analysis that we start working is in-depth technical SEO audit. which we check the most fundamental SEO elements, such as missing page titles, meta description, internal links, to more advanced elements such as accessibility, rendering, crawling budget, bot analysis, and so on. So when it comes to bot analysis and crawling budget, we analyze where did the bot land, on which page, how much time he needed to analyze the page, to crawl the page, what was the file size, did the bot come through a refresh or discovered the page somehow. So it helped us understand the whole path of the bot. Then we continue with backlink profile audit. We analyze all existing backlinks. We try to detect the spam links, site-wide links, and any other type of links that are against Google guidelines. Also, we check the entry text usage because, for example, these days it's very often when you are organically linked, people are using the let's say a word that you're trying to rank with a product page, but they use that word to link you to the home page, which can cause a potential cannibalization because the offsite SEO gives different signals to Google. So, which means that 2 pages will go after one keyword. Then we continue with EEAT audit. We check whether all EEAT elements are implemented, such as social media, links, connections, testimonials, third-party reviews, NAP match, which stand for name, address, and phone. So these information need to match with Google Business Profile and other directories. And we continue with LLM audit. We check how Google and other LLM models such as ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude classify the brand and what citations they use in order to classify your brand. So we basically check the brand reputation, where it's mentioned, and what people talk about the brand outside your website. So Davor can add also the analysis that from competitors and on-page things that we're doing.
Yes, Davor.
Yes, so it's very important, for example, to understand you have the traffic job, you've analyzed and you detect it. Okay, so what happens next? So it's very important to understand, once again, going back to the root cause of the situation. So that's why you need to, for example, detect who are the losers of your website. For example, you have pages, are you losing gradually on the majority of the pages? Are there specific pages that have dropped traffic? Are they top of funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of funnel? There are different scenarios and different levels of priority you need to address and assign to those pages depending on what you find out. For example, let's say we've had a couple of clients and their traffic drop has been gradual, 6-7 months. They've been steadily losing traffic. And what we found out was nothing other than the content decay that happened in the background. So you don't need to overcomplicate stuff sometimes. You need to be wary why that happened. For example, we know that right now content freshness is a very big, has a very big impact on the rankability of pages and discoverability when it comes also to LLM models. So LLM models, it's been known that they cite toward pages that have been let's say updated no longer than 6 months. So you cannot leave your main pages out of date and decaying in that sense. So what we do in that scenario, for example, we want to find out. So we've lost traffic to a certain page. We analyze the SERP. We analyze, for example, there are a lot of tools that you can use, Ahrefs, SEMrush, you can use to see what the SERP looked like 10 days from ago. You can see what it looked like today. You can pinpoint to the competitors and you can analyze what they have done. The ones that have overtaken you for those positions, you can analyze what they have done, in particular to be above you in that sense. And then in that regard, you can see, have they published more content than you? Have they built more links? Have the quality of the links been in a particular way localized? So there are a variety of reasons and variety of factors that come into play that will eventually shape the outcome of how you're going to create the, let's say, counter attack when it comes to the traffic job. Because, for example, us as an SEO team, we have at disposal a lot of resources when it comes to content, making content changes, technical depth, link building. We have a lot of things that we can do to counteract the traffic drop, but without the right, let's say, identification, it would be like shooting in the dark. It would be like just, you know, taking pills without a prescription or without knowing what exactly has happened and what you are treating. So it's very important, once again, the competitor analysis in that situation, because in every traffic drop, there is a winner in that scenario. Someone has overtaken you. The traffic doesn't go away. It just redirects to a different website. You need to understand what has happened in that time frame. So I would, for example, say that when a traffic drop happens, you need to check a multitude of things, including whether that has been an algorithm update that has happened recently or in the vicinity of the period where you lost traffic. You need to study what that algorithm update has said. For example, spam, content. There are a lot of different algorithm updates that tackle different types of things. So you need to understand, okay, what has I been doing? What has my team been doing in the past that may have caused me to get a penalty in that sense? So you need to take, for example, reverse engineer the situation. And then when you understand, okay, we have a lot of content that hasn't been updated, or we have too much content, or we have gone into a direction that is broad and we are not niche down into the industry. And there are more niche pages right now that Google thinks that they have more authority on the matter. So once you get that kind of framework done, you will have an understanding, this is exactly what I need to do.
Yes, perfectly put. Thank you so much for this lovely explanation. And since we are here and talking about the diagnosis and how to react, so maybe we can start talking more about the recovery playbooks. Branko, I will start with you, if that is okay with you.
So the recovery plan and recovery actions start once all audits or analysis are completed, or while a certain critical issue is detected. For example, once we detect a critical technical SEO issue, we start implementing and fixing it immediately. We use the quadrant matrix for impact and effort in order to detect which action items need to be prioritized first. We always prioritize the high impact, low value action items because we feel that these are low hanging fruits, and after fixing and implementing all the missing items, we can expect fast results. Then once we fix all these issues, we continue with high effort, high value action items. Then we continue with low impact and low value. In the meantime, we also try to fix the backlink profile. If we detect, let's say, a suspicious backlinks, we submit a disable file. Even that Google suggests that it's not necessarily, we need to ensure that these backlinks won't hurt the SEO. In terms of improving the EEAT signals, we implement and improve all missing elements such as outer box, outer profile page. We add links or pull information from third-party review sites such as Clutch, G2, and Capterra, and any other. We add testimonials and other trust signals in order to build trust and authority on the LLMs and Google. And when it comes to LLM classification, if a brand has a problem with the classification, we try to fix all the citations or mentions that give a wrong context about the brand. We had an interesting experience with a client of ours that was rebranded. They changed their name and their domain, so they bought an expired domain that belonged to a Hollywood entertainment company. So whenever someone typed their brand name on ChatGPT and Claude, the wrong information was presented. So basically, we went outreaching to every existing mention, every existing website that had a mention, we worked with Wikipedia moderators and asked them to change the context, to change the link, the brand name, whatever needed, just to fix the classification of our client.
That must have been interesting situation.
Yes.
Thank you, Branko. Davor, your turn.
Yes. So when it comes to recovery, so it very much depends on the situation we're dealing with. So once the two phases have been completed, once the identification has been completed and we know what we're dealing with, we have, let's say, systems set in place that we deal with these kind of situations. For example, let's say we have a Google algorithm penalty that has occurred on a client, and that has happened on very often it happens. So we have dealt with that before. In that scenario, we want to make sure that we are pushing from every direction. So what we do, we create a 1 month recovery plan, which ensures that from all aspects, technical, content, link building, in strategy, we are covering everything when it comes to the recovery. So that often includes, for example, first the understanding. Once again, so we had a client that had suffered an algorithm update penalty. That was mainly because it was around the time where content freshness became a bigger thing. So when we understood, for example, that the client has suffered, let's say 60, 70%, 70%, I think that the traffic drop was, we then proceeded with, let's say, a more aggressive approach. So we optimized around 50, 60 pages within the span of 2 to 3 weeks. Not optimized, let's say, just to give them a glance, but we went through a deep optimization process. And that, thankfully, in 3-4 weeks after that, the traffic not only recovered, but it also boosted, let's say, I think that 70-80%, it was increased in that scenario for that particular client, and that is before the traffic loss happened. So we have another situation, for example, when we are dealing with authority loss. So when we're dealing with authority loss, the scenario is different, and pretty much the strategy is very different on how we combat that. So what we want to do in that situation is just to understand where is the gap between us and what Google or LLM models consider as an authority in that situation. Because it's very important to read the SERPs. I cannot overstate this, but I know that it's, for a lot of people, that is the boring part, but that is something that we have to do. It's our job just to understand, be equipped with the data that we need to make decisions, be precise as possible. So when we're dealing with authority loss, the situation is different. We build a content calendar and re-optimization calendar, and we just want to be present in that area and where we need to be when we talk about building the content necessary, building the pillar pages, optimizing the menu, optimizing the footer. It's not really just a single thing that we do, but it's often a combination of a lot of efforts so that we can get to a point where Google and LLM models recognize the effort that we have put and reward us with higher rankings in that regard. So pretty much it, as I mentioned, it's often a combination, but with the right guidance, I think that having the right direction is the most important aspect of it.
This was such a valuable guidance. Thank you so much, Davor, and also Branko. And now we come to my favorite topic of this afternoon. It's about the pipeline protection and building a drop-resistant SEO system. So I would like to ask Branko, while all of this recovery work is happening, what do you do about your pipeline in the meantime? Because traffic is down, but revenue targets are not. So what happens?
Yes, so in order to protect your pipeline or build a drop-resistant SEO system, you need continuously to monitor your website health from technical SEO standpoint. You need to monitor your backlink profile, the anchor text usage, so the overall backlink profile health. You need to keep an eye on the brand reputation. Every brand should take care of the reviews that their customers or potential people are talking about their brand on community pages, Reddit, and other third-party websites. And as Davor also mentioned it, you need to start building topical authority so you can answer all questions that potential customers or clients may have about your brand or your product.
Thank you so much, Branko. And Davor, maybe you can tell us more about how to build that drop-resistant SEO system. Probably the audience waits to hear.
Yeah, so for example, when we're talking about protecting the most valuable assets on your website. And we're talking about mainly the product pages within the SaaS realm, product pages, feature pages. Those are the ones that should be driving customers toward your business. So we have a different strategy when it comes to safeguarding these pages, not only, for example, just publishing, rinsing content. We take it a step further, meaning that we implement into user behavior analytics in that sense. So we want to ensure when people come on those pages that they have the experience they expect. So the drop-off percentage is very important in that regard. It's very important to understand where they're clicking. Is there an unclickable element maybe that you would like to shape in the future in a clickable element, just to make sure that you are getting them what they want, the visitors. So it's very important to understand, for example, user behavior, bounce rate, drop-off potential, as I mentioned, also average session duration. These are important elements to take into account, because we're not only talking about blog posts, we're talking about pages that should be converting. So conversion rates also very important, and to make sure that you have, let's say, a strategy for these pages, it's important to build them externally. What I mean by externally is building them with links, building them with topic clusters that connect to them, just so that Google understands and LLMs understand, yes, they have the authority, they are the best page for that particular product, and they have everything that we need to put them on page 1 and top 3, hopefully. But other than that, as I mentioned, you have to follow the signals that these search engines value. The signals, for example, what are people doing when they come on the website? So we've seen on a lot of cases where product optimization needs to be also put in place. That's why SEO and product teams have to work closely together when it comes to protecting that pipeline, because every change that has been made can have a major impact on where you rank, how many leads you have, and are they going to be consistent? Because usually when the traffic drop happens, it is often late when it comes to these kind of pages, because these pages, when the traffic happens, you need to fight again to restore. I'm talking about authority building and authority loss. So that's why you need to take into account all of these signals in between. You may have traffic, but is the bounce rate lower than it was or higher than it was before? So you need to understand that. Are you having conversions? Out of 1,000 people landing on your page, how many have converted? So you need to have answered to those questions. If the answer is 0 or close to 0, then SEO is not the problem there. Something else is the problem there. And you need to be well equipped to understand, because SEO gives you the data, but what you do with that data is then a different story. Then that's when SEO and CRO combine together to ensure that we feed companies the data about what they need to do to ensure that their product goes also on the next level, not only the rankings. So I think that this is an important aspect that is not being often talked a lot about, but when we're dealing, for example, a lot of our clients, we have retainers that are close related to bringing more business to them. So when we get to page 1, when we get to position number 1, we often have fought against situation. We have a lot of traffic, not enough leads. So what do we do in that situation? So who do we communicate with so that we can make the right decisions about making the product and the page seem more conversion optimized? So these are different set of skills, but very equally important, because it's not just about the traffic. Traffic can be a vanity metric if it doesn't bring you any leads and any business toward that's the actual outcome. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to emphasize.
Thank you, Davor. I loved your explanation. I would advise the audience to come to you if they want to have a drop-resistant SEO system.
Definitely, yeah. More than happy to help anyone.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I think that we are done with the topics. So I must say this was an incredibly practical session from my point of view. So let me just quickly recap what we covered. So we walked through the 5 root causes of traffic drops, why getting the diagnosis right is everything. And we had a diagnostic framework, a step-by-step process that you can run the moment a drop appears. We also covered recovery playbooks tailored to each drop type, the bridge strategies that protect the pipeline with SEO recovers, And finally, the system that will make your SaaS site structurally resilient going forward. If you're watching this and thinking I need help applying this to a specific situation, this is exactly what SmartClick does. So Branko and Davor and the team working with them will help your company on exactly these challenges. You can also book a 30-minute consultation through our website, and no commitment, just a real conversation with Branko and Davor about where organic growth stands today. And the recording and everything else will be in your inbox within 24 hours. If today's session was valuable, please share it with a colleague who owns organic growth at their company. It's completely free, and the more people who have this framework, the better. So now let's get to the questions and answers section. Branko, Davor, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I have one question that says, how do you know if a traffic drop is a one-time event or the start of a longer decline? I think, Davor, maybe you can answer this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this goes back to the initial explanation. So you need to understand whether it's an authority loss problem or a technical, a penalty, a spam, or cannibalization problem. So in order for you to understand whether it's a one-off thing or whether it's going to continue declining, you need to understand what the cause was in the first place. So when, for example, you understand, if there is a technical issue in the background, then probably you're not going to suffer from that loss once again. But if you're talking about losing a lot of rankings for a lot of your top pages, so we're not just talking about a couple of pages, but maybe you lost a whole section that you used to own previously. So that's when you need to be a little bit more worried, and you need to have like a grander plan and scheme set in place.
Okay, thank you, Davor. Now we go on to the next question. What is the first thing you tell a CMO who calls you panicking about a traffic drop? Branko, maybe this one you can answer.
Yeah, so we need to stay patient. We need to see, as Dara explained. Sometimes you need to wait to, let's say, if a traffic drop is due to an algorithm change, we might need to wait a couple of weeks just to see the volatility, just to see the final situation that website, let's say, has with their traffic. So basically, this is the first step. Or if it's a traffic drop due to technical issue, due to something that is broken on the page, we immediately start analyzing what can be the cause. We always try to ask all people that worked on the website lately what was changed, try to understand more what can be the cause, and try to create an action plan, recovery plan, and start implementing and fixing everything. So it really depends on the situation of the traffic drop. Sometimes you need to wait, sometimes you need to take action immediately. For example, the most common is when a development team puts a website from staging environment to production. They forgot, let's say, to uncheck the search and the site from being indexed on Google. So this is an easy fix, but in terms of an eye of a marketing CMO person, when, let's say, the MQLs drop, it's like a panic. So you need instantly to take action.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Branko, on everything that you said. And another question, I think this will probably be for you as well, Branko. It says, at what point should we hire an agency versus trying to handle everything in-house?
Yeah, so this is interesting. If it's a, let's say, what's the advantage of an agency compared to a freelancer or in-house? The difference is huge because, let's say, I will take SmartClick as an agency. Every, let's say, segment, every sector, like technical SEO, content, backlink, LLM, has a different specialist. So one man can't know everything. So when it comes to traffic drop, you need multiple skills and multiple people in order to recover the website. So basically, if let's say you're sure that a traffic drop came because of content, because of AI content, you can hire one content specialist and maybe try to fix the items. But when it comes to a Google penalty, you would need help from an agency or multiple people who are skilled with different skills, not only one skill.
Yes, I agree with you. Next question. Does publishing more content during a traffic drop helps or hurts? So Davor, this is probably for you.
Yeah. So I mean, this depends. Of course, this depends on what the website is dealing with as the cause of the traffic drop. But I would say in many situations it doesn't help. Publishing new content doesn't instantly recover the lost traffic. It can also create new problems, because if you rush and publish unstrategically, I think that is more risky than dealing with the situation. So in short, no, it doesn't help, but it can help, let's say, build longer authority and long-term traffic growth. But the majority of traffic, newly published traffic, doesn't really kick off and doesn't fulfill its full potential until a couple of months it's been published. So you cannot expect a newly published content piece to immediately take over the rankings for pages probably that you lost. So I think that content publishing should always be subject of the, strategic decision making, rather than just publishing at bulk. So that is my stance on the situation.
Rather than publishing just to help out for a traffic drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. How long should you wait before escalating from monitoring to active intervention? This one, Davor, maybe you, yeah.
Yeah, this also goes to the initial explanation. So when you, for example, finish with an investigation and find out how much traffic you have lost, let's say 70-80% of the whole portfolio has been lost, then probably you want to intervene as fast as possible. But if you have been gradually losing traffic, so I'm repeating myself, but it's the same answer. If you've been losing traffic for a couple of months, and you've lost, let's say, in 3-4 months, maybe 50% of the traffic, that is a gradual decline, and that is where you want to be more strategic about the resolution, rather than just simply moving forward with a let's say intervention. So depending on what kind of traffic drop we're dealing with.
Okay, thank you, Davor. I have another interesting question. It says it's probably for Branko. The story about the brand being classified as a Hollywood company is fascinating, but also alarming. How do we even find out if an LLM has classified our brand incorrectly, and how can we widespread this as a problem? So
yeah. So you should ask, for example, chat with ChatGPT, Claude, and ask, hey, do you know what, let's say, SmartClick is? What industry they work in? Ask as many questions as you have to Claude and ChatGPT. If you find any irrelevant or wrong context about your company, ask, for example, them to give you the citations they have or the resources they took. So basically, once you ask them, they will provide, hey, we found this information, let's say on this website. So what you need to do is outreach to that specific page if there are many pages. So basically, you would need to not only outreach and try to fix the old summaries, old content, you would also need to start doing new citations. You would need to start publishing new content about the content about the company, and like you would need to improve your PR across I mean outside your website. So basically you will need first, again, to repeat myself, you will need to fix the old mentions, old content about the company, and start building new PR, like what people outside your website think about your brand. So
yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Branko. I have another question. We have never done an LLM audit. Is this something every SaaS company should be doing right now, or is it relevant only if you're seeing specific symptoms? Branko, Davor, who wants to go? Davor, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, so this is something that should be done on a regular basis, because you always want to ensure what the brand narrative is about your business in particular. And right now, brand narrative is very important. It's becoming increasingly important in the, let's say, in the past 6 months or a year. Ever since LLM visibility has become a thing, it's important to understand that LLMs not only extract information from linked, it also extracts from unlinked mentions as well. So how your brand is being talked about online is a very important information to the LLMs, so that they can find a way to segment you where you belong, in which section of which industry. And of course, is your brand providing the information that that people need? Are people having a good experience? As Branko mentioned, you need to be on top of what the reviews are saying about you and what has been said online about you at all times. So I would say, in a nutshell, that an LLM audit needs to be done on a quarterly basis, in my opinion, if not even sooner, because it's very important to understand what you are being talked about and how the narrative is being deployed about your brand.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because nowadays with AI, I think that being visible and with the online reputation is the only way that you can position yourself on top of the results.
Yeah, not only that, for example, when people go down the rabbit hole, let's say in an LLM search query, they want to understand whether you're the right fit for them. So the more deeper the query goes and it fans out, for example, the more the chances are that you would like to find out whether you have a feature, whether the competitor doesn't have a feature. So people go to LLMs right now to have like deeper conversations, not like the same search experience as it was with Google and as it is with Google. So right now, it's very important to understand in each of the layers of the search, how are you not ranking, but how are you being positioned?
Yes.
So that's very important to understand.
Yeah, I agree. And since we're almost out of time, I only have one more question for today. Sorry for those that I cannot answer now. So it says, as a CEO, I need to know roughly how many issues do you typically find in a full audit, and how long does it realistically take to work through all of them? Branko, maybe?
This is a great question. If we sum up all the issues across every existing audit, basically we found around 50 to 60 issues. From technical standpoint, technical SEO audit, around 25 to 30 issues. But it really depends on the website. If a website is created with AI, it's gonna have a lot of issues, because you can put, let's say, a prompt, hey, optimize it for SEO, but the LLM models would just build it without keeping an eye on the like canonical URLs, creating a page with multiple titles. Very often it's putting a different canonical URL. I mean, from a different page, because you would say, hey, copy the service page, put it on a different URL, so it will forget to put the new URL. So basically 50 to 60 items across all SEO audits.
Davor?
I would also like to add here that it's, for example, it also depends on how many pages the website has. So a larger website tends to have more issues than a smaller one. It also just want to note, for example, as a CEO, it's not just about important to understand how many problems or action items you have that are issue related, but how many opportunity related items we find with the audit. Because our audits are not just about fixing what's broken. It's also about bridging the gaps and being present where you're not present at the moment, and finding that strategic edge that's going to give you the momentum to hop over the competition. So it's more about, let's say, yes, we have the technical backlink audit, but it's also competition and content audit that allow us to understand what you need to do and the time frame in which you need to do it to get where you want to be. So I would like to reframe it just like from an opportunity perspective, not just like a issue related perspective.
Just to add that the first 10, critical items are like repeating across every client that we have. So, for example, orphan pages, lazy lots, like Google can't crawl a certain page, can't find a potential link. So basically the top 10 action items that we mark as critical are repetitive across every client that we had so far.
Thank you so much. And I think that that is all the time that we have today for questions and answers. Thank you so much, Branko and Davor, for this lovely presentation today and conversation, and also for your actionable playbook. I hope the audience will appreciate it. And also, I would like to thank everyone who joined live and everyone who asked their questions. The recording will be with you within 24 hours. And also, if you want to book a discovery call with SmartClick, the link will be in your email as well. Thank you so much, and see you at the next SmartClick session.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.